Liverpool enter this stage of the season wrapped in an uncomfortable mix of sporting uncertainty, external noise, and structural decisions that seem to push the club toward an inflection point. What was once treated as a process under construction is now starting to be questioned more openly, including by voices that, until recently, adopted a far more patient tone. And it is exactly this shift in discourse that helps explain why today's news matters more than it seems at first glance. The central theme revolves around two fronts that constantly intersect: on-pitch performance under Arne Slot and the club's direction off it. Inside the four lines, the most recent goalless draw reinforced a perception that had been muted by isolated results. Liverpool sit in fourth place, but the position does not hide the difficulty in identifying a clear, repeatable, dominant style. For a squad that went through an expensive rebuild, this lack of identity is starting to weigh. The key point here is not just isolated criticism of the coach, but the change in tone around the club. Journalists who once spoke of silenced doubts now acknowledge structural problems in the game model. The evaluation has become less emotional and more cold. A team that invested heavily should show something more recognizable, especially when reaching the midpoint of the season. Slot himself had pointed to this moment as a reference for judgment, and it is precisely now that the questions become harder to ignore. This context helps explain why debate around defensive transfers has gained strength. The name Joel Dons from Club Brugge appeared in contradictory reports. Some versions point to an imminent deal, others indicate only preliminary interest. What is known based on available information is that the player is appreciated by the scouting department, but there is no confirmation of advanced negotiations. This noise reflects something bigger: the sense that the club has not yet clearly decided how much it intends to intervene in the squad right now. Meanwhile, exits and smaller moves help compose the picture. James Norris had his permanent transfer to Shelbourne confirmed after a successful loan spell. It is a low-profile deal, but it shows the club's policy of giving clear destinations to players who are not part of the immediate plan. At the same time, more sensitive individual situations remain open, such as Harvey Elliott's. Elliott is linked to a possible loan move to MLS until June, an option made viable precisely by the different calendar. The player had little space, was not used during his loan spell at Aston Villa, and now finds himself at a delicate point in his career. The decision, according to available information, lies with the player. Liverpool, for now, observe. The impact here goes beyond the specific name. It is another example of young talent that has not yet found a clear fit within the current sporting project. This accumulation of undefined situations feeds a broader reading of where. There are analyses pointing to a passive, rigid team with little confidence, a harsh comparison, but one that gains space precisely because it no longer comes from a single source. At the same time, the inevitable contrast with Arsenal emerges, highlighted as a reference for consistency and clarity of ideas this season. It is not just a comparison of results, but of direction. Within this environment, cautious institutional statements also appear. Slot avoids speaking openly about targets, reinforcing that he does not comment on names while nothing is concrete. Regarding the current squad, there are explanations about physical management. Florian Wirtz, for example, was taken off due to muscular risk in a context of few players available with Premier League experience. The decision is presented as prudent, but it also exposes the bigger problem: recurring overload on key pieces. This overload is not explained only by injuries, but by the lack of reliable alternatives. The coach himself acknowledges that there are players on the bench without league minutes, which limits real options during matches and across the season. This detail is fundamental to understand why collective performance fluctuates so much, even when results are not disastrous. Amid all this, information about contract planning emerges. The club intends to start talks to renew Ryan Gravenberch, who still has 2 years on his deal. There are no formal negotiations, but there is interest in securing the midfielder's future. In parallel, it becomes clear that Elliott does not intend to accept a move to MLS, despite interest, while his situation at Villa is described as stagnant. Another relevant point comes from outside Liverpool, but helps close the picture. Unai Emery explained why Aston Villa decided not to sign Elliott permanently, citing the purchase obligation linked to minutes played and the lack of conviction about the required investment. This reinforces the perception that the player is in a competitive limbo, valued in theory, but without practical confidence from coaches. Finally, we return to the question that hangs over all this: Arne Slot's future. There are reports circulating that the coach will not remain in the role at the end of the season, unless something extraordinary happens. There is no official confirmation, and any scenario depends on results, but the mere fact that this debate gains space already alters internal dynamics. When command stability is questioned, every decision starts to be read as provisional. Liverpool, therefore, live a moment of poorly resolved transition. It is not a collapse, but it is also far from a stabilized project. Fourth place no longer deceives as before. The market, technical choices, and squad management in the coming months will determine whether this period will be remembered as a course correction or as a sign of a bigger problem that took too long to be confronted.